Close your eyes for a second. Can you smell it? That unmistakable aroma of caramelized onions, slow-simmered cream of mushroom soup, and the buttery crunch of crushed Ritz crackers. It's 1955, post-war America, the heart of the Midwest, and the most important social event of the week isn't happening at a movie theater or a stadium. It's happening right downstairs after the Sunday service. The church potluck. This wasn't just a meal. This was the glue that held the American community together. Every dish was a signature, a family secret passed down through grease-stained index cards, and a quiet act of love for a neighbor in need. But today, these iconic recipes are fading away, buried under the weight of trendy superfoods and order-in convenience. Welcome to the Heritage Archive. Today, we're opening a very specific vault of American history. I've spent weeks tracking down original, spiral-bound church cookbooks from Ohio to Nebraska, interviewing grandmothers who lived through the era to find 15 forgotten masterpieces. We're bringing back the dishes that defined a generation. From the salads that weren't actually salads, to the legendary funeral potatoes that provided comfort in the darkest hours. If you grew up in the Heartland, or you just want to know what community actually tastes like, pull up a chair. We're heading back to the potluck line. To understand the 1950s potluck, you have to understand the era. We were a nation coming home. Soldiers were back, suburbs were exploding, and for the first time in history, the modern kitchen was a reality. But in the Midwest, we didn't use this new technology to isolate ourselves. We used it to feed each other. I've cross-referenced these recipes with industrial food records from the era, and what I found is fascinating. This wasn't just cooking, it was a culinary revolution led by the Ladies' Aid and women's circles. They took the miracles of the post-war pantry, condensed soups, frozen peas, and boxed gelatin, and turned them into a social currency. If you brought a dish that came home empty, you had the highest status in the county. Pay close attention when we get to meal number 5. It's a salad that defies every law of modern biology. It's bright green, it's filled with marshmallows, and in 1958, it was the absolute height of suburban sophistication. If you grew up in a small town between the Ohio River and the Rockies, this one dish is going to unlock memories of basement fellowship halls that you haven't thought about in 40 years. Look, we live in an era of curbside pickup and delivery apps. We've traded the potluck line for a screen, but the Heritage Archive reminds us that the most important ingredient in these recipes wasn't the salt or the butter. It was the gossip shared over a coffee urn, and the feeling that if your world fell apart, the people in that room would show up at your door with a hot dish in hand. Let's start with meal 15, the backbone of the Heartland, the MVP of the Pyrex dish, the tater tot hot dish.
Meal number 15, the classic tater tot hot dish. This is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Midwest. Now, if you're from the coasts, you might call this a casserole, but here in the Heartland, it's a hot dish. In 1953, when Ida first invented the tater tot to use up slivers of cut potatoes, they had no idea they were creating a cultural icon. It was cheap, it was high-tech for the time, and it was the ultimate crowd pleaser. The secret? You never stir the tots into the meat. You line them up in perfect military-style rows on top. It gives you that contrast of the creamy, savory base and the salty, golden crunch that defined every Lutheran basement lunch for half a century. Meal number 14, the Watergate salad. Only in 1950s America could you mix pudding, canned fruit, and Cool Whip and call it a salad. This dish represents the post-war explosion of convenience. It was bright, it was whimsical, and it looked like the future on a plate. My research found that before it got its political name in the 70s, it was often just called Pineapple Pistachio Delight. It's cold, it's sweet, and for many of us, one bite of this green fluff is like a time machine back to a folding chair next to our favorite aunt. Meal number 13, funeral potatoes. This dish has a somber name, but a heart of gold. Traditionally brought to the homes of the grieving, it became a staple at every potluck because, frankly, it's addictive. It's the ultimate comfort luxury. You have the soft, cheesy hash browns underneath and that signature cornflake crunch on top. It's high-calorie, stick-to-your-ribs soul food. In the 50s, this was the way a community said, "We're here for you," without saying a single word. Meal number 12, the red beet and egg platter. You couldn't walk 10 feet at an Ohio potluck without seeing this vibrant purple display. It's a Pennsylvania Dutch tradition that migrated west. Hard-boiled eggs pickled in the juice of red beets until they turn a deep neon pink. It's tangy, it's sweet, and it provided that sharp acidity needed to cut through all the heavy cream and cheese on the rest of the table. It's a love it or hate it classic, but for the greatest generation, it wasn't a party without them. Meal number 11, the everything aspic. Now, we're entering the territory of the savory Jell-O. This was the ultimate test of a 1950s housewife's creativity. We're talking about lemon or lime gelatin filled with, believe it or not, shredded carrots, celery, and sometimes even canned shrimp. It sounds wild to a 2026 palate, but back then, a perfectly molded aspic was the centerpiece of the table. It showed you had the time, the refrigeration, and the finesse to create something structural. But we're just getting warmed up, because we're moving toward the potluck royalty items. Coming up next is a dish that involves a secret sauce made with grape jelly. And then we'll reach meal number 5, the green masterpiece that defined suburban sophistication.
Meal number 10, the grape jelly meatballs. If you grew up in the suburbs in the late 50s, this was the fancy appetizer. It's the ultimate Midwestern chemistry experiment. Sweet grape jelly meets tangy chili sauce. It sounds like a disaster on paper, but over the low heat of a crock pot, it transforms into a sticky, savory glaze that is impossible to stop eating. It was the sophisticated cocktail snack that migrated from high society parties down to the church basement, and it's still the first thing to disappear at any family reunion today. Meal number 9, dried beef roll-ups. Also known as Midwestern sushi, you take that salty, wafer-thin dried beef from the glass jar, a staple of the post-war pantry, and you roll it with cream cheese and a pickle. It's a texture explosion. The salt from the beef, the tang of the pickle, and the smoothness of the cheese. In the 50s, this was a way to show finesse without ever turning on the oven. It was easy to plate, easy to eat with a toothpick, and it felt like a little taste of the big city right there in the Heartland. Meal number 8, the Lutheran standard Swedish meatballs. In Minnesota and Wisconsin, this wasn't just a dish, it was a birthright. Every church had that one lady who was the meatball queen. These aren't your typical Italian meatballs. They're seasoned with warm spices like nutmeg and allspice, simmered in a rich, silken cream gravy. My research shows this was the ultimate unity dish, connecting the Scandinavian immigrants of the 1800s to their 1950s American grandchildren. It's mild, it's comforting, and it's the taste of a cold winter Sunday transformed into warmth. Meal number 7, the 7-layer ribbon salad. This was the showstopper. It required a level of patience that we just don't have in 2026. You had to let each layer of Jell-O set perfectly before pouring the next one on top. It took all day to make. When a woman walked into the fellowship hall with a perfect ribbon salad, the room went quiet. It was a visual signal of her dedication to the community. It tasted like cherry, lime, and lemon, but it looked like a work of art. Meal number 6, the candied Waldorf salad. We're moving into the heavy hitters now. The original New York Waldorf was just apples and celery. But the 1950s Midwest? We added walnuts, grapes, and a massive amount of Miracle Whip, or sweetened cream. But we've arrived at the one you've been waiting for. Meal number 5, the strawberry pretzel salad. If you grew up in the 50s or 60s, this was the absolute peak of potluck fancy. It's the ultimate Midwestern paradox. Is it a salad? Is it a dessert? Nobody cared. You had that salty, crunchy pretzel crust, a middle layer of sweetened cream cheese, and a top layer of strawberry Jell-O packed with fruit. It hit every single taste bud at once. In a world of savory casseroles, this was the bright, shimmering star of the table. It was the dish that made the kids run to the line first. Meal number 4, the Johnny Marzetti. Born in a kitchen in Columbus, Ohio, and spread across the Heartland like wildfire. This was the standard issue fuel for a growing America. It's simple, it's honest, and it's virtually indestructible. You could bake it at 9 a.m., wrap it in a towel, drive it across the county to a church basement, and it would still be perfect at noon, feeding as many people as possible with the highest amount of comfort. Meal number 3, the cranberry fluff. While the Watergate salad was the queen of summer, the pink stuff ruled the holidays. My research into old parish cookbooks showed that this was often the most contested recipe in the book. Everyone had a secret addition, a dash of orange zest, a handful of pecans, or a specific brand of mini marshmallows. It's light, it's airy, and it provided that much-needed hit of sugar to keep the conversation going long after the coffee urn ran dry. Meal number 2, Bisquick sausage balls. When Bisquick hit the shelves in the 1930s, it changed the game. But by the 50s, these sausage balls were a potluck requirement. Sharp cheddar, savory pork sausage, and that magic yellow box of biscuit mix. They're the ultimate grab-and-go church basement food. You'd see the men standing by the coat racks, a coffee cup in one hand, and 3 of these in the other, catching up on the weather and the crop prices. Meal number 1, the creamed corn casserole, the corn pudding. This is it, the DNA of the Midwest in a Pyrex dish. It's not just corn, it's a mixture of whole kernels, cream-style corn, Jiffy mix, and sour cream. This dish is the secret language of the Heartland. If you see this on a table, you know you're among friends. It's sweet enough to be a treat, savory enough to be a side, and so soft you could eat it with a spoon. It represents the abundance of the fields and the warmth of the people who tend them. But these dishes are more than just a list of ingredients. They are the artifacts of a time when we knew our neighbors' names and their troubles. As we wrap up this archive, I have one final thought about why these recipes and the people who made them matter more now than ever before. We look at these 15 dishes, the green fluff, the hot dishes, the pretzel salads, and it's easy to smile at how retro or dated they seem. But if you look closer, through the steam of the coffee urn and the echoes of the fellowship hall, you'll see something much deeper. You see a time when we didn't just live next door to people, we lived with them. In the 1950s Midwest, these recipes were a social contract. They were a promise that if you were sick, a hot dish would appear at your door. If you were grieving, the funeral potatoes were already in the oven. If you were celebrating, the ribbon salad was on the table. We've traded that community for convenience. We've traded the potluck line for a delivery app, and in the process, we've gotten a little bit lonelier. The Heritage Archive isn't just about preserving old food. It's about preserving the spirit of the people who made it. It's about remembering that the most important ingredient in American history wasn't the soil or the steel. It was the neighbor. It was the ladies' aid and the men's circles who knew that a community is only as strong as the table it shares. If you want to help us keep these stories and these flavors from fading into the past, then join us. Hit that subscribe button and become a part of the Heritage Archive. We are documenting the soul of the Heartland, one Pyrex dish at a time. Drop a comment below with the word potluck and tell me, what was the one dish your grandma always brought to the church basement? Which of these 15 brought back a memory you haven't thought of in years? I read every single story you share, and honestly, they're the best part of this job. Thanks for coming to the potluck. I'll see you in the next chapter.